Hey, um, I want to talk about the Nigerian general election this year. Now, this video is a bit late because just looking at the Wikipedia update, it's been concluded. Muhammadu Buhari has won re-election. I'd intended to make this video a bit earlier, but like I said, there'd been a long queue of videos. So just make it brief. I'd like to hear Nigerian responses to this. Any Nigerians watching this video, I'd like to hear your perspective. Um, I don't know a great deal about either candidate. I do know that Muhammadu Buhari was a former military leader, but he describes himself as, I think the term he uses is a newly enlightened Democrat or a newly found Democrat. His regime in the past had been accused of serious human rights abuses. Nigeria is now a multi party democracy, and like every democracy, it has its flaws. But I think Nigeria is a very important country because it's Africa's most populous country. A population pushing 180 million people, scheduled to be 200 million in the next couple of decades, if not sooner. So it's very important. I was actually watching coverage of this on TVC, which is a Nigerian channel. I don't know if that's based in Abuja or Lagos, but they had interesting English language coverage, and two election observers were being interviewed. And what they both said, both Nigerians, what they said is from their perspective, the issue was that there were too many candidates all vying to be president, simply too many. So I believe that democracy, i.e., a multi party system, is always superior to a single party system because no matter how efficient the single party system seems on the surface, at some point people are going to resent the human rights abuses and the suppression, and it will just boil over. So I think all single party systems are doomed to failure in the end. In some cases, it might be sooner, in some cases, it might be later. Um, anyway, the two major candidates were Muhammadu Buhari, who's already served since 2015, and Atiku Abubakar. Now, both these guys are in their 70s, or I think in the case of Abubakar, let me just double check this. Um, yeah, both guys are in their 70s. And Nigeria is a very young population, like many African countries. It's the same in countries like Uganda and Kenya. It's a young population. So I wonder do a lot of Nigerians feel disillusioned that this is their only major choices? And I wonder is that why there was kind of this colourful selection of having a lot of different candidates? I know that there'd been a lot of frustrations when the election had been postponed last week because of the threats from Boko Haram, and that's a great pity. I don't think that terrorists should hold up the democratic process, and I imagine many people in Nigeria felt that way. But this isn't for me to say. I'm not Nigerian. I'd like to hear perspectives from Nigerians. So tell me, what's your perspective? Are you happy with Buhari's re-election? Are you not happy with it? Certainly, all the recent presidents have been old men, septuagenarians. Goodluck Jonathan was relatively young in his mid 50s when he came in, but generally speaking, I do think there's a discrepancy, perhaps, and this is just from my outside perspective, between these old men who are running this very populous nation and young, energetic Nigerians like the former mayor of Lagos, um, whose name I temporarily forget. I think I made a video about him before. Um, there's a whole host of problems facing Nigeria, the Boko Haram insurgency for sure. Um, The issue of state politics is probably a factor because there's great discrepancy between the issues facing each state. So, for example, the issues that people face in Lagos, issues with overcrowding, with pollution, I imagine those are big things, are not necessarily going to be the same as issues facing Maiduguri, which is, of course, insurgency from Boko Haram and the encroaching Islamism in the north of the country. Then in the south of the country, there's a Niger Delta conflict. So there's a whole host of security concerns for whoever is running Nigeria. There were reports of some violence in this election, but given the size of the country, I think it could probably have been worse. That's my perspective. I mean, it's not comparable to what happened in Kenya back in 2007 8. Um, democracy is messy, but yeah, well, I'll leave it there. I want to know what Nigerians think. I believe Nigeria is an important country, so a stable Nigeria is incredibly important. Um, I kind of see Nigeria, well, obviously every African country is different, but I see Nigeria as kind of a template in a sense for which direction Africa will head in, West Africa anyway. So let me know your thoughts. I'd particularly like to hear from Nigerians. Anyone's free to comment, but I'd particularly like to hear from Nigerians. Thank you.